From the Clear Channel Studios, A Professional Edge by Scene G. Todd, tax attorney CPA and certified financial planner, is providing general information related to taxes, investments, and estate planning. This information is not to be perceived as providing individual legal, tax, or investment advice, as each individual's circumstances are unique. Being a listener does not create an attorney/CPA or an investment advisory client relationship. Each individual's personal situation is different, and seeking one-on-one advice with a licensed professional is recommended. Securities and fee-only investment counsel is provided through Schwab Institutional Member SIPC. This is Professional Edge, a program designed to help you understand the importance of getting counsel and advice from a licensed professional and help you appreciate the significance of being able to integrate your investments, tax planning, and estate planning into one cohesive plan to prevent an unintended consequence. We will be talking with Scene G. Todd of Estate Management Counselors, LLC. Estate Management Counselors, LLC is an independent fee-only investment management firm based in Atlanta with a satellite office in Columbus, Georgia that serves select clients throughout the country. Their goal is simple: to make sure their clients feel confident and secure about their financial future. Scene is a truly qualified professional. He is a licensed tax attorney, a CPA, and certified financial planner. He is also an adjunct income tax professor at the University of Georgia. One unique thing you might not know about Scene: he attends the National Rodeo Finals each year. We will be talking with Scene.
Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
Good morning, Scene. Doing well. How about yourself?
I can't complain. Been a great week.
Yes.
You know what? April 15th, over, done, cooked.
Kiss it all goodbye.
Kiss it all goodbye. Everybody was running around sort of crazy, going to the post office 11:50 at night, dropping it in the box. And it's like, really?
I got mine done before the 15th.
Okay.
So, it was on the 14th.
Okay. That
last week when we finished the show, when he got that out of the way that night. So
made you feel better, right?
Yes, it
Relief?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Much better.
But it's also dynamic how people sort of judge their year on whether they get a refund back or not. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, hey, you know what? It was a great year. I got $2,300 back from the IRS. And I'm like, well, the only reason why you're getting the money back is because you overpaid for it. If you really understand the math on it.
Makes you
but it makes them feel good.
I'm guilty of that. And then I'm like, okay, I paid them this extra. They should give me
some
interest on it. Yeah.
Right. But they're not.
No.
Mm-mm. So, for individuals out there, April 15th's over, and a lot of people just close their tax planning file and they put it away. And unfortunately, that is not what they need to do, Chris. Mm-hmm. As a listener, what you need to do is actually open that tax file back up. Yeah, you just got done doing it. But that is the basis for tax planning for 2013, because a lot of tax planning can be done now during the year, not after 12/31 of 2013.
Right. So I guess a good rule of thumb is to keep it open all year.
Keep it open all year, because a lot of transactions you do all year long affect taxes. Mm-hmm. So who are you going to turn to when those individual situations come up? And that's where last time we were talking about why you should hire a CPA, Registered Investment Advisor, to assist you with your retirement and help you along the way. And we talked about one example last week, Chris, where the individual went through a divorce. They had about $30,000 in fees, and they thought they were all non-deductible. Mm-hmm. They were doing their taxes themselves, and, it didn't meet the little question boxes that the software comes up with.
Right.
And, we went through a scenario, and we ended up getting about $6,000 of the $30,000 deductible, and basically saved the client $1,500 in taxes. Now, you say, well, working with a CPA or a tax attorney is very expensive. Well, you got to ask yourself, how expensive is it by not working with them? Mm-hmm. By just that one simple catch, it was a $1,500 tax savings. So, you just got to say, if they didn't hire us, they would have missed that.
Yeah.
So missed $1,500, and I can tell you the fee for the counsel and advice was not even close to $1,500. Mm-hmm. That was a gimme because the client had engaged our services to do some other things. So he said, did you mind reviewing the income tax return that they had performed on this software? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, that's fine. So that's another thing that we were talking about is last time, Chris, was, why you should hire an RIA, CFP, CPA during your retirement. But before we go into that, to recap what we did last time, this week we're talking about some estate planning aspects, and it's not for the faint of heart. And, individuals out there listening, the stats continue to amaze me in that half of all Americans have zero estate plan in place. Mm-hmm. Or they've done an estate plan and it is so outdated, archaic, that it's almost better to have that will set aside, right, because they never included that third child. They did the will themselves, and therefore they didn't say, and any afterborn children shall be included herein. So now the estate's divided between 2 kids, not 3 kids. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, let's just administer the estate, and the 2 kids can gift that money over to the other kid who was left off. Now you have gift tax implications, so it's just a complete mess. So it's easier just to do the estate plan up front, and do it right versus trying to fix it on the backside. It's a lot cheaper to fix it up front. So again, we're going to talk about estate planning, not for the faint of heart this week, but last week we were talking a little bit about the main concept between being an RIA and being a stockbroker. And like I told everyone last time, I had the Series 7 license, which is the stockbroker license, and I had that, and I kept it very shortly because I didn't like the situation I was with my clients, and that is a sales relationship. Right. Because stockbrokers get compensated on commissions and things they sell. Mm-hmm. And there's a standard that they're abided by, or basically by law, and the only advice they have to give their clients is suitable recommendations. The investments just have to be suitable. If they're suitable, then they meet the criteria. Well, I don't know about you and everyone else out there, Chris, but I would rather have the best advice. Yeah. So as an RIA, which we elected to go towards, then it basically says, as an RIA, you have a fiduciary duty to act in the client's best interest at all times. And I welcome that level of standard that I deal with my clients. Same standard as what an attorney is, because a practicing attorney, they have to always act in their client's best interest. Mm-hmm. It's not anything that I have to sell. We don't have things to sell. We counsel our clients with professional counsel and advice. And you say, okay, if I'm going to have somebody on my team to help me through retirement, do I just want to know that they're going to give me suitable recommendations, or am I going to get the best recommendations?
I'd rather have the best.
I would rather have the best. Mm-hmm. So that's the choice as a listener out there you're going to make going forward. And the other thing is, if you think about this analogy, Chris, if you're a pro golfer and the pro golf instructor, the coach, if he gets compensated more on selling a certain line of clubs, or have his professional golfer that he's coaching, if he gets compensated more by the golf club company to swing that club and have him use that one, which one do you think he's going to recommend?
More likely that one.
More than likely the one that's going to compensate him more. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's a stockbroker. Yeah. Okay? Now, if we move on over to the registered investment advisor side, it doesn't matter what club they use.
Mm-hmm. As long as they hit the
There's
target,
no difference
right?
in compensation on which club he uses. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're giving professional counsel and advice as that person's coach, then you're going to make the best recommendation.
Right.
You're going to use the best club for that. Mm-hmm. So there's the analogy. Not the one that's going to, compensate the recommendation the most, but the best club. And that's probably the best analogy that I can help the listeners with is the difference between an RIA and a stockbroker and that level of duty. And if you point blank ask if you're working with a stockbroker, or even a 1-800 firm, and they're not, there, you ask them this question, and what level of advice are you required to give me? Are you required by law to give me the best advice? Mm-hmm. And they'll hem haul around and sort of move the ball and everything else and say, as a RIA, they're required by law to act in the client's best interest at all times. Mm-hmm. Are you under that same standard? And the answer is no. It's a suitability standard. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge difference that listeners out here need to understand, Chris, is I would rather want to be underneath a scenario where I know that my advisor, my professional that I'm working with has to act in my best interest, not just to give me something suitable. Mm-hmm. Pretty big, clear difference between the two. So that's one thing which, as a listener, that is a key difference between the two. And you'll see that stockbroker have vice president of investments on their business card.
There goes those titles.
There goes the title again, right? And as a listener out there, got to understand that difference because in retirement, you don't get to take a mulligan. You don't get to redo things that you make mistakes for.
Yep.
This is Scene Todd.
And I'm Chris East, and of course we invite you to stay with us. We have a lot more on the show coming up. And as always, if you want to get in touch with Scene, you can call 877-654-9798, 877-654-9798. You can also check out the website too, emcadvisors.com, and you can send in your questions via email. Drop us a line, info@emcadvisors.net. We'll be back with more of the show right after this.
With today's financial markets, are you getting the personal and professional attention you and your money deserve? Clients of estate management counselors benefit from having one set of professionals advise them on their tax, estate planning, and investment advice. We call that the professional edge. Scene Todd is a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. With over 15 years' experience, he welcomes the opportunity to assist you in preparing for retirement, implement effective tax planning strategies, and to help you properly plan your estate. His radio show, The Professional Edge, is aired weekly on Sundays at 9 a.m. If you're interested in meeting with Scene, call his office at 877-654-9798. That's 877-654-9798. We've all thought about it. Everyone listening will need one. Not having one can cause untold heartache, family conflict escalating to the point of a lawsuit. One simple thing that avoids all that: an effective estate plan. As a practicing tax attorney, Scene Todd with Estate Management Counselors has completed over 1,000 estate plans during his 15 years of professional practice. He can help you implement an effective estate plan, coordinate your financial accounts, and make sure you have named the proper beneficiaries to maximize your tax savings. Call 877-654-9798 today and let tax attorney Scene Todd help you implement an effective estate plan. Call 877-654-9798 today.
Welcome back to Professional Edge with Scene Todd and Chris East here. Thank you so much for joining us today. 877-654-9798, the phone number to call if you'd like to get more information, something that you hear on the show today that you want to learn more about. Just give a call, 877-654-9798. All right, Scene, let's get back into the show here.
All right, we're talking about estate planning, not for the faint of heart. And, half of all listeners out there, I'm on my soapbox as a practicing tax attorney. Mm-hmm. Half of all listeners, Chris, still do not have any estate plan in place whatsoever, and they don't understand the dynamics of that. And let's just walk them through sort of what happens when a person passes away and they don't have a will. Well, the state steps in, and usually it's referred to as the law of descent and distribution, and it says, because you, the deceased, don't have a plan, we, the state, have a plan for you. Now, I don't know how many listeners are excited now and going, hey, the state has a plan for me. It's got to be pretty good, because they know what they're doing. They've done this more than once. Well, most of the time when the state gets involved, it's not the best plan.
Right.
So here's what happens. Husband and wife are married and they have 2 kids. they've been procrastinating about getting any estate plan done. They know they need to do it, just like a lot of our listeners out there. Yeah, that's on my list.
I'll get to it tomorrow, and then I'll do it later.
And then, I'm getting ready to go on vacation. Maybe I'll get it done before then, and I ran out of time. So going back to the scenario, husband, wife, 2 kids, don't have a will. He passes away unexpectedly. What's going to happen is everything that's in his name, Chris, they're going to take it and divide it in half.
Okay.
Of that half, they're going to give her the first half. Of the other half, they're going to take that and divide it between her and the number of children she has. So in this case, we have 2. So therefore, we're going to divide that other half by 3. So the wife gets about 66% of it. The other part then goes down to the 2 kids. Now, if the 2 kids are minors, here's what the state says, is we're going to hold this for you. We're going to hold it very conservatively. And then when you reach the age of majority, we're going to give it out to you. So 18, 21, depending on your state, is when they will actually get that out of the trust.
Okay.
So the state imposes a trust for them. So you got to say if there's a sizable sum of money, a couple $100,000, then when that child gets it at the age of majority, 18, for example, it's theirs. There's no requirement that anything goes in trust, that it's be spent for education, health care, anything like that. So there is no restriction whatsoever on those funds. And you also got to say is, well, is there enough money for mom when she is surviving now with 2 kids as a single parent? Does she actually need that percentage which was in husband's name, which is now held in trust for the kids by the state? I don't know. But wouldn't it be simpler just to, A, sit down for about an hour, gather some information, outline you want everything to go to your spouse. Then if your spouse is not available or predeceased you, then it goes down to the kids. And we're not going to give it to the kids when they reach the age of majority. We're actually going to give it to them constructively, A, for their health care, or B, for education. And if they are not college material, then we're just going to keep it in trust for them and allow that money to be used for a down payment on a house, not on a sports car, not going on a ski vacation, but something productive. And then when they reach the age of 30, let's divide it out and give them a third of it. And then at age 35, we'll give them a third. And then at age 45, we'll give them a third. We'll give them 3 bites of the apple. Because you and I both know a lot of individuals have never received a check for over $50,000 when they're age 18.
Right.
And if they did, more than likely they would squander that money.
That's a lot of money for someone of that age to. You get a check for $250,000. You're 17 or 18 years old. You're going to party. Majority of, I mean, there's obviously options, or some kids wouldn't do that, but looking at statistics,
they blow it.
They blow it.
Right. And mom and dad, being mom, still alive in our example, she has no legal right to interfere with that decision to go buy a $100,000 sports car, go on a ski vacation.
To do whatever they want to with it, basically.
Yes, they can squander it. So that's one thing that you got to look at. And the other thing that individuals out there need to understand is when you're doing your estate plan, it is not just what you do in the will or the trust itself, that document, because things supersede what is in your estate planning documents. And what I mean by supersede is, if I have my life insurance policy, Chris, and I name you the beneficiary, and I'm married, then when I pass away, you're going to get the life insurance benefits, not my wife. Even though my will said I give everything to my loving wife. So that's what I mean by supersedes. So just by going online or doing the least cost avenue to try and accomplish your estate plan, again, you're getting back to the adage, you get what you pay for.
Right.
So if you don't want to pay anything, you're not going to have much. So why would you do that for administering your estate? It doesn't make sense to me.
No.
So with individual, excuse me, the pollen is unbelievable. So
we're in a soundproof room,
yeah.
and
but I brought it in,
and there's stuff all over them. You know, the board is yellow. It's like we got a tree in here.
Right. So when an individual plans their estate, they have to sit down with somebody that understands the other components with it. And life insurance is just one. The other one which supersedes is beneficiary designations on annuities. And for older listeners out there, they have a tremendous amount in annuities. And annuities supersede what is in the estate plan provisions in the will or the trust. And they basically don't ever coordinate that. So we have them bring that document in and say, who is your primary beneficiary on there? I don't know. I put the estate on. Now, if it's a qualified annuity, meaning an IRA money that came in pre-tax, if it goes to that estate, putting my CPA hat on, it blows the tax selection. So now that money has to come out of that annuity within 5 years of date of death. So we cannot stretch that IRA out, and the beneficiary of that IRA cannot roll it in to an inherited IRA and keep the tax deferral going. We just lit the fuse, and it has to explode or distribute all that money within 5 years date of death. That's not an effective plan.
All right.
But you know what? Online, you can get your will, but I know, guaranteed, online, it doesn't say, check your beneficiary designations on this, and this. So that's where you're going to get what you pay for, and that's why working with a qualified professional. I've done over 1,000 of these, Chris, not saying that to brag, but I've seen it more than once, and I see where people make mistakes. They bring in their estate plan and say, hey, I just got this done 2 months ago. I look at it, and I'm like, okay, what is your understanding of what's going to happen? They outline it to me. I take the notes, and I say, well, do you want to really know what's going to happen? And they say, that's not going to happen, what I had written down there. I said, no, here's why. And I pull their documents out, and I show them point blank what's been missed.
I'm sure
they're dumbfounded.
Dumbfounded, yeah. Just not
right.
even realize
And they
what's
say,
going
well, I had this done. And I say, well, I understand you had it done, but a lot of lawyers, unfortunately, don't have training in financial instruments and put that whole plan together and have a coordinated estate plan. So that's why you got to take the time and analyze exactly what the asset is, where it's going, and who it's going to go to.
Right.
And the other thing we have clients do, Chris, we have them bring in their deed to their property. They say, I that's in the safety deposit box. Why do we need to bring that in? I just want to check the title. Because if it's in husband's name only, and he says, I give everything to my wife, then it's okay. But if it's in husband's name only, and he didn't get around to getting a will done, and he passes intestate, which is dying without a will, then it basically says that that property, again, has to go according to how the state says. And it says the wife gets half, the other half gets divided between the three. Now the argument becomes, where are we going to stay? Because now, doesn't the two children, own a portion of that home? Well, if the home taxes are due, are the kids partially responsible for that?
More than likely.
More than likely. So now the court has the ability to come in and take some other monies out of the kids' accounts to pay the real estate taxes because they're benefiting from that. So, and you got the court involved, and you just got to say, if we involve the court, we probably have lawyers involved.
Right.
And we all know that lawyers don't work for free. They charge a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But usually lawyers are engaged when there's problems.
Yeah.
So the chief thing we're trying to get across is don't create problems. Plan ahead.
Exactly.
Get the estate plan done, Chris.
And they can do that by giving you a call. You'll definitely help them out with it. 877-654-9798. 877-654-9798. What's coming up in the next segment, see?
We're going to talk about the difference between a revocable living trust and having a will, some of the pros and cons of each one, because a lot of individuals are confused about the two.
I will straighten all that out when we get back.
We will try.
All right. Stay with us. We'll have more of the show right after this.
Do you want to feel more confident about making the right investment, tax, and estate planning decisions? Today, these decisions are more complex than ever. Have you thought about working with a professional advisor and not sure who to turn to? Not sure what qualifies one to be an advisor? Scene Todd is more than qualified as a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. Scene is with Estate Management Counselors. Estate Management Counselors operates as an independent fee-only investment advisory firm. They're dedicated to gaining a personal understanding of their clients' objectives and implementing professional counsel and advice to achieve those objectives. So take a second to talk with Scene Todd to learn how you can benefit from their multidisciplinary practice where they coordinate their clients' legal, tax, and investment strategies into one comprehensive and integrated plan to enhance and protect their clients' financial security. You can reach Estate Management Counselors and speak with Scene Todd by calling 1-877-654-9798. That's 1-877-654-9798. With today's financial markets, are you getting the personal and professional attention you and your money deserve? Clients of Estate Management Counselors benefit from having one set of professionals advise them on their tax, estate planning, and investment advice. We call that the professional edge. Scene Todd is a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. With over 15 years' experience, he welcomes the opportunity to assist you in preparing for retirement, implement effective tax planning strategies, and to help you properly plan your estate. His radio show, The Professional Edge, is aired weekly on Sundays at 9 a.m. If you're interested in meeting with Scene, call his office at 877-654-9798. That's 877-654-9798.
All right, welcome back to Professional Edge with Scene Todd. I'm Chris East. Thanks so much for joining us today. 877-654-9798. 877-654-9798, the phone number to call. You can also check out the website too, emcadvisors.com. And if you have a question, you can send it in. Drop us a line in the old email box, info@emcadvisors.net. All right, Scene, let's get back to the show here.
Topic near to the heart, Chris, estate planning. We're not for the faint of heart today. You know, we're having people die left and right, but trying to, educate the individuals that are out there listening to understand the consequences of not having an effective estate plan. And an effective estate plan is not just having a last will and testament, because you also probably need a financial power of attorney, and that would be a durable financial power of attorney so it survives your mental disability. And the people might say, well, you know what? I don't have one of those, but I've added my daughter to our bank account, and that way in case something happens to one of us, then she can go ahead and access that checking account and write checks on it. Well, unfortunately, that's what I call kitchen table estate planning 101. And unfortunately, the consequence of that is that now that account that the daughter is on is subject to the claims of the daughter's creditors. So if daughter is out late one night, goes left of center, kills two people, and they exceed the policy limits on the automobile insurance, and there's still a multi-million-dollar claim to be paid,
They're going to go after that.
They're going after that. And there's nothing that mom and dad can do or say which says, well, you know, it's not really her. She's just on there in case we get in trouble. And the attorney's just going to say, she's on the account. She's an owner.
Yeah,
there's funds. That's part of my claim. So settle up. So if you're there and you have that situation, definitely give us a call, change it, get your children off of your accounts. There's other legal ways that we can give your children access when they need it, but not to expose that to the claims of the kids' creditors.
And you don't want to look at it as being yourself being mean to them by doing this. You're, in a sense, protecting them and protecting yourself as well.
Right, exactly. So it's not that you're trying to harm them or you don't trust them anymore. It's there is a better legal avenue than just going down to the bank and adding your daughter to your bank account.
Right.
So definitely step back, get that done. And the other thing we've talked about, Chris, or need to talk about, is a lot of individuals are confused when it comes time to do their estate plan and they have a will or a trust. Now, a will only takes place or helps you out when you pass away. So if you have Alzheimer's, become mentally incompetent, the will has no bearing. It only helps you when you pass away. So there's a consequence there. But with a will, you're guaranteed to go through the probate court process. It's like playing Monopoly. Do not pass go. Do not, collect your $200. But it says that you are going to go to probate. And probate, for individuals out there, it's this place in the courthouse. And, you go there and not many people really know what's going on in there. Or at least, the public doesn't know what goes on.
Right.
But probate is basically the changing of legal title from the decedent to the rightful heir.
Okay.
So if I have a house, it's in my name, I die, and you're my beneficiary, Chris, then the probate court process allows my representative to effectuate the documents to get that house to you, the owner, the new beneficiary. So that's all it is. But all it is a legal process which, whatever I file in that probate court, becomes part of public record. So when a person passes away, for example, like Michael Jackson, he died with a will, correct? Well, you know what? We can discover exactly what Michael Jackson had, where it's going to go, and how much his kids are going to receive and when they're going to receive it. Also, who's going to be in charge of it over time, who's going to be the trustees. So if you want your affairs to be very public, then that's the avenue you would want to go.
Right.
But a lot of individuals choose to work with us, Chris, down here in Columbus and Phoenix City, because I'm up in Atlanta, but I have that satellite office at the Cunningham Center. And therefore, you're not going to see me bumping around the golf course. You're not going to see me at the country club. You're not going to see me at the supermarket talking about other people's business.
Right.
So that's another key component which listeners may want to heed is, small towns, a lot of people try and know a lot about everybody else's business. So if you want to keep your affairs private, that's another reason to engage our services. I'm not in Columbus. I don't live in Columbus. I don't go to church in Columbus. I have my activities up in Atlanta, and if you want to keep that distance between your church members that are attorneys or your bankers or your stockbrokers down here, that's another consideration that clients have made in engaging our services because everything is 100% private. So we have the will versus the trust. And a trust, the easiest way to understand that is a revocable trust. It's a shoebox. So instead of waiting for the probate court process to engage itself, we form a trust today, we draft some documents, and now we retitle everything into that trust today. So if something happens to me and I become mentally incompetent, then that successor trustee steps in, takes control of my property for my benefit, and uses them until I pass away, only for me. But then when I pass away, then that trustee takes and makes a distribution of the trust assets the way I've outlined. Not the way they want, but the way I've outlined. Same plan of distribution can be used for the will as in the trust. But here's the key component, Chris. With that trust, we avoid the probate court process. So anyone in Columbus can go down to the probate court, look, and there's nothing there. wait, he died.
How come-
There should be a will. Well,
But
no,
there's
not if
nothing?
I use the trust.
Right.
I don't have to file that with the court. And therefore, all my affairs, who received my property, and how much property I actually owned is 100% private affair.
Keep those nosy neighbors out of it. Huh?
Keep the nosy neighbors out because they are nosy. So that's another aspect of why a trust might make a lot of sense financially also. Then individuals that are listening, they may have that extra property outside of their current domicile state, which means where they currently live. And if they're fortunate enough to have that second home, let's say the condo in Florida, and they're a resident in Alabama, guess what? They're going to have a probate estate in Alabama, and they're going to have a probate estate in Florida. So now we have two probate estates, and probate is not free. You have lawyers involved, you have filing fees, you have the court system. So therefore, wouldn't there be a better avenue to A, avoid that ancillary probate of probating the Florida property and also the Alabama property? Yes, we can avoid that. And the way we do that is we fund the revocable living trust. And then when the person passes away, we don't have to open the probate court estate in Florida and in Alabama. We just administer the trust. So we avoid that whole ancillary probate process. Because you and I both know, Chris, when two attorneys talk, they talk real slow and they draw things out.
Exactly.
Because they bill based on time, right? So therefore, you can avoid that cost altogether. And the reason why individuals don't implement these trusts is because they don't understand them.
Right. And it is confusing. Yeah.
Yes. And if you don't understand something, you're hesitant to move forward. You don't want to be the first one on the block. Well, the smart people have them. A lot of individuals in Florida, vast majority of individuals in Florida have a trust that is funded. The reason being is there's a lot of older people in Florida than up here in Georgia and Alabama. But they also see the benefit of avoiding that probate court process. There's no need for it if you have everything properly done.
Right.
But we've also run across where they've established their trust. They think they're going to avoid probate. And what the other lawyer did was he drafted a pour-over will. Didn't put anything in the trust. So now the client thinks that they're going to avoid probate because they have this trust. But remember that shoebox?
Yeah.
It's empty.
It's
So
not gonna do you
now
any good at all, is it?
the only way you're going to get things in that box is to go through the probate court process. So they missed a vital step, and they have to go through that step of retitling things to avoid that probate court process.
That's all it took was that one misstep, didn't it?
Yep. Just another
Just
thing.
a little thing can really mess it up.
Right.
That's why they need to call you.
Yeah, and it's not on Google.
You can't Google it, or it's
Right.
not on the Google, as my grandmother
Right.
would say. 877-654-9798. 877-654-9798. If they want to get in touch with you. You can also check out the website, too. You find a lot of good information there at emcadvisors.com. And you can send in your question via email. Just drop us a line, info@emcadvisors.net. What's coming up in the last segment of the show?
We're going to talk about how estate planning is with IRA accounts.
All right. Sounds good. Stay with us. We'll have more of the show right after this.
As a tax attorney CPA for over 15 years, Sean Todd has implemented over 1,000 individual estate plans. He has recently authored an especially helpful guide, How to Unlock the Ultimate Estate Plan. This guide has helped many individuals to understand the benefits of an estate plan and how to avoid unintended disasters. Sean has made every attempt to write this in plain English. To receive this valuable guide, How to Unlock the Ultimate Estate Plan, call 1-877-654-9798 and request your complimentary copy today, or by emailing your request to info@emcadvisors.net. We've all thought about it. Everyone listening will need one. Not having one can cause untold heartache, family conflict escalating to the point of a lawsuit. One simple thing that avoids all that: an effective estate plan. As a practicing tax attorney, Sean Todd with Estate Management Counselors has completed over 1,000 estate plans during his 15 years of professional practice. He can help you implement an effective estate plan, coordinate your financial accounts, and make sure you have named the proper beneficiaries to maximize your tax savings. Call 877-654-9798 today and let tax attorney Sean Todd help you implement an effective estate plan. Call 877-654-9798 today.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, round, round.
It's almost summertime,
It is.
so we figured, hey, why not throw some Beach Boys in there and mix it up a little bit for you?
Right. Get the old beach ball out. Little yard darts.
Exactly.
You ever play with those?
No, badminton. Have you ever played badminton?
Badminton, yes.
Volleyball?
Yeah, but think about the yard dart. Mm-hmm. Big metal instrument, sharp, and kids got to throw them back and forth at each other.
What can happen?
Right. Nothing can happen, right?
It's one of the safest games out there, right? You need to wear the body armor when you play that game.
So if the yard dart goes unexpectedly in the wrong place,
And watch out.
then we have a death,
Yeah.
and therefore we got an estate plan.
Yeah.
Right?
So you need to make sure you got that done before you play yard darts.
Right.
Just
So
to be on the safe side.
Put
You
that
never-
on the checklist.
Exactly. All right, now but before we came back during the break, we're talking about the giveaway that you have crafted over there.
Yes.
And
And this is
nice little prize pack.
it is because it's all centered on estate planning. Now, if you're a listener and been listening or first time, take your pencil down because here's what we put together to get individuals to move forward to get their estate plan in place.
I think you'll like this.
Yeah, and the first thing we put together is how to unlock your ultimate estate plan. And that is a great, easy read. Puts things in pretty simple English, so you don't need to be a lawyer to read it or a PhD to understand it. But it, gets you on the way to thinking about the different concepts on estate planning, having a trust for your kid. It's not that you're rich or anything, but it's how to unlock the ultimate estate plan. That's number one. Then number two, Chris, we put together the 6 estate planning mistakes that we see time in, time out in the practice,
Okay.
and how to avoid them. Again, simple read. They can go through, check the box, and say, oh, yeah, you know what? I was making that estate plan mistake. They don't have to hire us to fix it because we give them exactly how to fix it.
Right.
Okay? So it's 6 common estate planning mistakes and how to avoid them and fix them. And then the last one we have, Chris, is an audio CD, and it's called Flatline.
Okay.
So pretty interesting listen on that, and it puts some things in perspective on that. So it's called a Flatline CD. All this, no cost, no obligation. They call Tina, 877-654-9798, and they request it and just say, you know what, give me this information. I'd like to receive it. But the only thing they can't have me do, Chris, is make the call. I can't call for them.
Got to do it yourself.
That's it. Pick up the phone.
Meet us halfway.
Right. Yeah, halfway. 877-654-9798 and ask Tina to put that in the mail to you. She'll be glad to do that, and I will be glad too because I have this mission, Chris. I want this listening area to not be a statistic.
Right.
I want them to get their estate plan in place. I know everyone out there is going to use it one day. Not tomorrow, hopefully, but many years down the road.
You will need it.
You will need it. You will use it. It will be money not squandered. And it will actually give you a lot of peace of mind that you know you've went through things. You know your spouse or your kids or your grandkids are going to be taken care of. You have that peace of mind, and it's overwhelming once they get done signing everything and everything's in place. They said, you know, I wish I would have done this sooner.
And you feel better about it, too.
Yeah.
It's like
they've
the-
never gotten up and said, you know what, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done.
This is a waste of time. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, you look at death, taxes. You guaranteed those two. Might as well go ahead and throw the estate plan in there because you're going to need that as well.
Right.
So let's make that number 3.
Right.
We're going to add that to the list.
So it's just, you know, a different situation. It's being proactive because, you know, bad things happen to good people. So you want to be prepared. And just have peace of mind.
Right.
That's part of being an individual. You got to put some things in place, and having an estate plan is one thing you got to put in place. So let me review the few things that you get. How to unlock the ultimate estate plan, the 6 estate planning mistakes and how to avoid them, and the bonus Flatline audio CD.
No obligation.
No obligation.
Just call.
Free. Right. So 877-654-9798. Ask Tina. She'll be glad to send that to you in the regular mail.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. So let's jump back in to estate planning, not for the faint of heart. And this is, we're going to deal with the second largest asset normally that we see, or the largest financial asset, and that is the IRA or the 401k. So we ask clients when they come in, who's your beneficiary? And usually husband and wife sitting there, and he says, well, my wife, obviously. And I said, okay, that's fine. And she has one, and she says, well, my husband. I said, okay. And I said, who's on your contingent beneficiary? Well, I'm not sure. I think I have the kids. I said, okay. So I write, I think I have the kids. And then she writes down, she goes, oh, I have my 2 kids equally. I said, okay, that's fine. And I say, let's walk through a scenario. Husband and wife, both in a car, date night, both don't make it home. And he thought he had a contingent beneficiary, but he doesn't. So now, wife's not alive. There is no contingent. So again, the IRS gets involved, and it says, we will give you a beneficiary. Now, when the IRS gets involved, how good is their recommendations?
Isn't that nice? They're going to give you a beneficiary.
Right, and they give you a life of 0. That's what the estate is.
Yeah.
Because now it defaults to the estate, and now that account has to be distributed within 5 years date of death. So there is no option to roll this over. There is no option to stretch this IRA out to keep the tax deferral strategy in place. It is, you have to take it out within 5 years. Question going to you, Chris. Let's say, you know what, you forgot that rule to take it out in 5 years. The 6th year, you finally remembered the rule and you took it all out.
They're going to tax you on every bit of that, right?
Well, number one, they're going to tax you on every bit of the income, right? But here's the huge lever that they have. What you failed to get out of there, you owe a 50% penalty.
Ow.
50, half. So if it's a $200,000 IRA and you blow this, $100,000 goes off to the IRS by missing this rule. $100,000.
That will make you cry.
Yeah.
If that is not a wake-up call, what is?
I don't know.
It's scary to think that can happen just by
And
oversight.
And you know what? We see this day in and day out where the person comes in, we're not their advisor. We look at things, and we look at the primary and contingent beneficiary, and lo and behold, primary is identified. It's spouse. Second one, he put in the estate of Jim Smith. And I said, why did you put that in there? You know, and I don't give them the answer. I want to understand what they're thinking.
Right.
He said, well, my will says I give everything to my wife, and if my wife passes away, I give everything to my 2 kids equally. He said that would do it, right?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. That would do it.
Yeah.
Because now you put a short fuse and you lit it. It's got to be out in 5 years because of that blown election. So that's estate planning, understanding that as a tax attorney for the tax implications and how it needs to be done with the coordinated estate plan. That's number one. And number two then is understanding that financial asset to where, A, we're going to keep this tax deferral going. And Chris, we're seeing signs where the current administration is going to continue to raise tax rates. We have to, because we have to get the tax revenue up to support all the payments going out.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, way
So-
more going out than coming in.
Way more going out than coming in, and way more borrowing than what we are consuming also or making. So you're going to see that this tax deferral strategy, you cannot blow it. And if you have the wrong beneficiary on these IRAs, you're going to blow it, and therefore now you can't have this tax deferral strategy going forward. So you've left tens of thousands of dollars on the table when you're naming that IRA beneficiary. And then here's the other key, Chris, real quick and simple. If it goes husband, wife, down to kids, husband passes, wife passes. If she names a new beneficiary on that IRA, because it's hers now, she can name husband number 2 on that.
Okay.
She dies. Where does that IRA account go?
Husband number 2.
Husband number 2, and it does not go to the kids of that first marriage.
She disinherited them. See, I have been paying attention.
So, yes. So what we have to do is have a designated beneficiary trust as the beneficiary
Gotcha.
of that IRA. So if you're naming spouse and kids, give us a call because you need a designated beneficiary to do it properly so you do not disinherit your kids. This is Scene Todd with the
And
Professional Edge.
I'm Chris East, and if you want to give Scene a call, that phone number is 877-654-9798, 877-654-9798. Don't forget to check out the website, too, emcadvisors.com, and you can also send in your question via email if you'd like to do that, get some more information. And you can drop us a line, info@emcadvisors.net. Well, Scene, I enjoyed the show today and learned a lot of good information.
Absolutely. Have a great week, Chris.
You too. We'll see you next week along with the pollen. Have a good week.
Yep.
With today's financial markets, are you getting the personal and professional attention you and your money deserve? Clients of estate management counselors benefit from having one set of professionals advise them on their tax, estate planning, and investment advice. We call that the Professional Edge. Scene Todd is a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. With over 15 years' experience, he welcomes the opportunity to assist you in preparing for retirement, implement effective tax planning strategies, and to help you properly plan your estate. His radio show, The Professional Edge, is aired weekly on Sundays at 9 a.m. If you're interested in meeting with Scene, call his office at 877-654-9798. That's 877-654-9798. Do you want to feel more confident about making the right investment, tax, and estate planning decisions? Today, these decisions are more complex than ever. Have you thought about working with a professional advisor and not sure who to turn to? Not sure what qualifies one to be an advisor? Scene Todd is more than qualified as a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. Scene is with Estate Management Counselors. Estate Management Counselors operates as an independent fee-only investment advisory firm. They're dedicated to gaining a personal understanding of their clients' objectives and implementing professional counsel and advice to achieve those objectives. So take a second to talk with Scene Todd to learn how you can benefit from their multidisciplinary practice where they coordinate their clients' legal, tax, and investment strategies into one comprehensive and integrated plan to enhance and protect their clients' financial security. You can reach estate management counselors and speak with Scene Todd by calling 1-877-654-9798. That's 1-877-654-9798.